All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. So we are going to proceed with the lab. Now, it occurred to me, since I've decided to record the lab sessions and we got a head start on it, I wasn't recording earlier. So I'm going to let these first couple exercises just be on the screen for somebody watching this in the future, so they can at least see what the answers are. And then we'll go down to exercise 3 that we were working on. Oh, no, we finished 3. Okay, take that back. We're going to go down to exercise 4. And exercise 4, we had covered A and B, right? We came up with some of the different types of information useful for these different types of people. So where we left off is investors. What are some types of information that would be useful, types of accounting information that would be useful for investors?
Financial statements.
Okay, financial statements. And what might they find on those financial statements?
The retained earnings, profit.
Retained earnings, profits, losses. Very good. Assets and liabilities, right? Okay. What about creditors? If you go to a bank to borrow money for your company, what kind of information are they going to want?
Balance sheet.
Okay. Balance sheet.
Accounts payable.
Maybe some of your accounts payable information so they know how much debt you already have. Maybe your accounts receivable information so that they can hold that as collateral. Sometimes companies put up their accounts receivable as collateral for a loan. Or at least so that they know how much money you're expecting to receive from your customers.
Statement for the same dollar.
So income statement is different. They'd probably want to see the income statement as well. All right. How about customers? What kind of accounting information would they be interested in?
Product.
Okay. Price. Well, what products are available at the different prices, right? What else? Let's say you're going to be a customer of an insurance company or of a bank. You probably want to know that they're financially sound, right? Did you know that banks have credit ratings and insurance companies have credit ratings as well? Usually customers aren't that concerned with accounting information, but in some cases it would be important. What about tax authorities? What kind of accounting information are they interested in?
Costs. Profit.
Profits for sure, which costs make up part of the profit, right? Because the profit is your revenues minus your costs. What else? What else gets taxed? You'd be taxed on your assets. What was that? Wages. Yeah, payroll taxes. There's property tax. Did you know that companies have to pay property tax even on their furniture and their computers? We as individuals don't have to do that, but companies do. Sales tax, right? How much did you sell? Because then if you are selling retail, you're supposed to collect sales tax. Well, even if you don't collect it, you're supposed to pay it. So, all right, so those are some examples of the types of accounting information these different stakeholders would be interested in. Any questions or comments? All right, well, let's move on to number 5 here. All right, let me check and see how many exercises we have. We have 11, okay. All right, number 5, Taylor Speedy prepared the following list of statements about managerial and financial accounting and the functions of management. Identify each statement as true or false. Financial accounting centers on providing information to internal users.
False.
False. Oh, we didn't really talk about this. Staff positions are directly involved in the company's primary revenue generating activities. Does anybody? So there's terminology, staff positions versus line positions. Line positions are directly involved with the company's product or service.
Would those be like warehouse workers would be considered line
Mhm.
positions?
Yep.
Whereas like managers would be staff positions?
Managers, it kind of depends on what they're managing, but something like
Like a CFO?
an administrative assistant would be a staff position because they're just supporting somebody else and they're not directly involved with making the product. So there's a little bit of gray area, but yeah, if you're directly involved in making a product or service, that's definitely a line position. Staff positions, the answer here is false because they are not directly involved in revenue generating activities. Okay, preparation of budgets is part of financial accounting. Oops, put that on the wrong line. Actually, it's part of managerial accounting. We have a whole chapter we'll do on budgeting later in the semester. Managerial accounting applies only to merchandising and manufacturing companies. False. It does apply to service companies as well. And both managerial accounting and financial accounting deal with many of the same economic events.
True.
That is true. All right, here we have a matching activity. So what we'll do is we'll read the definition on the right and match it with the item on the left. Specialist in corporate accounting management favors financial analytics, budgeting, and strategic domains. B? Yeah, that looks like B to me, right? Financial analytics seems to go with certified financial analyst. Considered the top tier in accounting certifications. You know what? I don't think one is B.
Let's see. They're B for higher.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know what I'm doing up here. Okay. Let me back up a second. So for one, we did say B, but I'm not sure that that's correct. Is it? I don't know. Let's come back to Roman numeral 1. Okay, let's look at number 2. Top tier in accounting certifications must pass a 4-part exam with education and work experience requirements. That is A for sure. So A is Roman numeral 2. Okay. 3, a designation that is exclusively for auditors of the public sector. F does talk about government accounting, so that's public sector, but it, and it does say auditing, doesn't it? I think you're right. Yeah, okay. 3 and F. So F is Roman numeral 3. Okay. Number 4, credential for auditors who work within organizations and is one of a few that is accepted worldwide. That is D. So 4 is D. 5, certification for those with a career in finance and investment areas.
B.
That is B. Yes. So B is 5. Okay. 6, designation that proves proficiency in fraud prevention, detection, and deterrence is E. So E is 6. Okay, that means 1 is C. So that first definition we read was certified management accountant. All right. Questions? Okay, so number 7 here. This talks about Sarbanes-Oxley. The question is, what are the 4 significant issues addressed by the Act? And how does it help deter fraudulent activity? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the textbook. Under chapter 1, let's see. It's here in this section. So it's under 1 point, what was it there? Maybe not. Oh, there it is. I just passed it. Okay. So it's under section 1.4 under ethics legislation. It gives these 4 section numbers and what they deal with. I'm going to do a copy and paste because these templates are for you. You're not going to be turning them in. So this is not plagiarism, right? This is just helping you prepare for the quiz. But let's see what they say. So section 302 is the one that says the CEO and CFO have to sign off on financial reports. 404 says financial reports have to be audited and there has to be an internal control audit. 806 protects whistleblowers. Section 906, criminal penalties for fraudulent financial report are increased up to 5 million in fines and up to 25 years in prison. Okay, so that's our answers for number 7. Number 8, true or false? Bribery in the world of business typically happens when an organization or representative of an organization gives financial benefits to an official to gain favor or manipulate a business decision. True. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act was implemented in the aftermath of disclosures that businesses were violating the IMA Code of Ethics. Sounds good, but it's actually false. And remember, managerial accounting is all internal to the company, so it really is not something where you'd be defrauding outside people. So the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act really deals more with bribery and fraud of external parties. Okay, C, managers are required to follow specific rules issued by the IMA for internal financial reporting. False. Ethics is more than obeying laws. True. And the Sarbanes-Oxley Act addressed public company accounting reform. That's true. Okay, so those are the answers for 8. Another matching activity. So now we're getting into some different aspects of total quality management. The focus is on quality throughout the entire process. Which of the 4 on the left is the best match? C, I agree, total quality management. So C is going to be Roman numeral 1. Okay. Inventory is attained or produced only as needed. That is A, just-in-time manufacturing. That has been extended to other fields. It's not only used in inventory, but the idea is instead of having a whole bunch of inventory you don't need, you basically order it so it arrives just in time. A little bit risky, but it can actually save your company money if you do it right. Okay, 3, a combined effort of team members is used to eliminate waste and defects. D, Lean Six Sigma. So Six Sigma is a statistical approach in process improvement. Basically what it means is you try to get it down to out of 1 million units that you produce, you have no more than 3 or 4 defects out of 1 million. That's what Six Sigma represents. And number 4, all managers and employees are always looking for ways to improve operations. That's B. Oops. So B is Roman numeral 4. Any questions, comments? Okay, number 10. This is similar. We've got just-in-time inventory is Roman numeral 1, continuous improvement is 2, total quality management, or TQM for short, is 3, And we have to match those up with these 6 descriptions. So that means we're going to have to use them multiple times. A company receives inventory daily based on customer orders. That is 1. Manufacturing factories have been arranged in such a fashion to reduce inefficiencies.
3.
Yes, that is total quality management. It does relate to 2, but 3 is the best match. Companies organize customer focus groups in order to look at customer needs and expectations.
2.
That is 2, because based on those customer inputs, then you could continuously improve your product. D, the entire production process is standardized and written down with procedures.
3.
Yeah, I would agree, total quality management. Each customer receives a survey of satisfaction with their product. 2, continuous improvement. And number 1, all orders are complete and shipped within 3 business days.
1.
Roman numeral 1, just-in-time inventory. All right, one more exercise here. Now this one I'll explain. Well, I think we have time to do it together. Okay, so it tells us to look up definitions for these terms. There's a link to see the definition, but you know what a budget is, right? The question is, how might you use a budget in your own life and how it would be useful? How could we use budgets in our own lives?
Personal finance.
Okay, so personal finance, managing your finances. Okay. Avoiding going broke, right? Controlling spending. Okay. Again, you're not going to enter these exact words into Canvas, but this will help you prepare to answer the question. Now, a capital budget is a little different. In a company, a capital budget is when you're planning to purchase your long-term assets, things like buildings, land, vehicles, equipment, things that are going to last multiple years and cost a fair amount of money. In our personal lives, what are some of those long-term assets we might purchase? Vehicle? A house? Okay. Yeah, those would be some pretty good examples. Maybe a computer, maybe furniture. Those are somewhat long-term. So how can capital budgeting help us in our life?
Allow you to like save up to buy a car.
Okay. So maybe give you some saving targets, purchases. It help us evaluate whether we should save up or does it make sense to, for example, let's say we're buying a house. Should we save up for 50 years till we have $1 million, or should we get a mortgage and buy a house today, right? Could help you make that sort of decision. So financing decisions. How about balanced scorecard? That's that approach that companies use to look at their performance in 4 different ways, not only financial. If we apply that to our own lives, that would mean we would evaluate how we're doing, not just financially. We could look at the customer perspective, but who's our customer? I guess ourselves. You might think of your employer as your customer, right? They're the ones giving you money in exchange for something. So that could be one way you evaluate how things are going, is how's your relationship with your employer? Are you getting promoted? Do you enjoy your work? Are you making enough money? Let me think. I think that might fall more under internal operations. Like your day-to-day process of getting things done, getting the laundry done, getting food, that's part of our personal internal operations.
that go to like that one chart you showed us of Maslow?
Yeah, it does. It does relate to Maslow's different hierarchy of needs. So the balanced scorecard, I think it's safe to say, gives us a way to evaluate ourselves in a more holistic way, not just financially, right? Evaluate holistically. I think I spelled that right. Consider career. Let's see, learning and growth. That carries over. Learning and growth kind of relates to our education, right, and experience. Internal operations is basically just our day-to-day getting stuff done, you know? Because all of that is important, right? If you measure yourself just by how much money you have or how much money you make, you'll probably never be happy. Because there's always more money out there. And a break-even analysis. What is a break-even analysis?
If you make enough profit to outweigh spend.
Okay. So if you're investing in some way, at what point are you going to break even? If you're, for example, spending money on education, at what point is that going to come back to you through a higher salary? If you're buying a stock, at what point are you going to be able to make back enough money to break even on that stock? So we can apply that in our personal lives for evaluating investments. Whatever form those investments might take. All right. That completes the exercise set. Any questions on anything before we move on to the problem set? Yes, Alan. 7? All right, and I usually make myself a note about which problems on the problem set to cover. And let's find it here. Right now, this is business 1B, right? Oh, here it is, problem set. Okay, business 1B, chapter 1, put X. Okay, I don't know what that means. I think we're going to go through all of them. So let me go ahead and open up the problem set. Now, technically, if you look in the textbook, I don't think there is a problem set for chapter 1. So I actually took a different activity out of the textbook called thought provokers. We're using this as our problem set for this week, even though that's not technically what it is. And yeah, we're going to go through all, I think there are four problems. Okay. We have just enough time. The first one is a little confusing, so I'm going to explain it to you. Are you familiar with the United Way? Nonprofit organization, does a lot of good, helps people and communities around the country. In this first problem here, we are pretending that we are an event coordinator for the United Way. So we plan events, and the objective of these events is to get people to donate money to the United Way so we can do more of our good service for the community. Okay, so as an event coordinator, we coordinate the events with the objective of getting donations. And what it's asking us to do is think about how we would use planning, controlling, and evaluating to make sure that an event is successful. Now, this whole section here, you can ignore. because it's giving you examples from different industries. You don't really need the examples, a lot of information. So let's just skip down here. All right, and what I want you to do is come up with 2 examples of each. So we'll start going through this. We might not do the whole thing together, but at least you'll get the idea and you can finish it up on your own. So remember, we're talking about how we could plan to make our event successful, how we can control the event so that it will be successful, and then after the fact, how would we evaluate it so that we could make future events more successful. And starting with planning, I've actually given you one answer already. If we're planning an event, let's say it's some big gala, and this is something we've done in the past, we might want to look at last year's event, right? As an example, and see how much money did we spend last year on the event. That gives us an idea of how much we might budget this year. What's some other information that we could use to help plan this year's event?
How many people are going?
Okay. How many attendees? I heard another voice over here. Daniel?
What was the theme of last year's event?
Okay, what was the theme? Okay, and we really only needed 2, so we've already got 3. So we're fine. You can come up with more if you want. All right. So how about controlling? So controlling is as the event's going on. And let's think specifically about accounting information that would be useful for us as the event is happening to make sure it's successful. So our event's happening. We're running around trying to make sure everything's going okay. What kind of accounting information would be useful? How much money we're receiving? Okay. So right, you don't want to get to the end of the event and find out like nobody was charging customers, right? Or something like that. So you can come up with a second example on your own. Let's go ahead and come up with one for evaluating. So now it's after the event. How, like what information would be useful from accounting to tell us how the event went? Ben?
If you made more than what you paid for.
Okay, so we could, that's technically a variance analysis. So what was our actual results versus the budget? I think you were also getting at, did we make a profit, like income or revenue minus the costs? Right? So that would be accounting information that also would be useful. Okay, so go ahead and come up with at least one more for controlling. But to make sure we have enough time, let's move on to number 2. This one's pretty easy, actually. It says that there are individuals who are under the impression that managerial accounting provides services mainly for manufacturing organizations. Are they correct? Is managerial accounting mainly for manufacturing organizations?
No.
No, it says no. No, but why? Why is that not correct?
Because it could be used for any company that has multiple sections.
Okay. Yeah, so any kind of company, whether they're a retailer or service company, can use managerial accounting information. And yeah, you're right. If let's say your company is so small, you don't even have any employees, it's just you probably don't really need managerial accounting because you know everything that's going on, right? But the bigger your company, the more you need accounting information. All right, remember this organizational chart we saw? All right, so here we see it again. The question, we have two questions. I think there are two. Yes. The first says, describe two ways in which managerial functions complement accounting functions. In other words, how can managers help accountants?
By helping the accountants get information from other parts of the company.
Okay. Providing information to the accountants. Okay, so there's one way. I think let's see. Yeah, I think we have enough time. Let's go ahead and come up with what's the second way managers could help accountants? You think the managerial accountants might need to know what kind of reports the managers need? Right, because they can't read their minds. So telling them what sorts of reports they want could be another way. And when they need them, or they need. And let's flip it around. What are some ways that accounting can help management?
Have the managers see how they're doing in general.
Okay. Provide performance reports. What's one more example of how accountants can help managers?
You tell where losses are coming from.
Okay. To where losses are coming from. That'd probably be some sort of a cost report. All right, so you get the idea. And we can go down to our fourth problem here. This is all about whistleblowers, and it says, are whistleblowers heroes or traitors? Sometimes whistleblowers have a bad image. People say, oh, that person, they were just trying to make trouble, or they were trying to cause our company to lose money or something like that. And other people say, no, whistleblowers are actually doing a public good by indicating that there was fraud or there was something illegal going on. There are some examples here. You might have heard of Edward Snowden, very controversial whistleblower who basically revealed how much information our federal government collects on us all. Gina Gray, I didn't know much about her, but in reading about her, so she worked at Arlington National Cemetery, which is a military cemetery on the East Coast. And they were doing some terrible things in that cemetery, people that ran it. She blew the whistle on them. Sharon Watkins was the main whistleblower at Enron when that company was committing huge fraud. And then Cynthia Cooper was at WorldCom, same thing, they were committing fraud and she was an accountant, I think she was an accountant, blew the whistle. So the question here is, why do you think that some whistleblowers are vilified, in other words, hated, and others are made to be heroes? So write a 3-sentence response in preparation for the problem set. Okay, and once you've done that, you can go ahead and submit your answers. The exercise set should be submitted in Canvas by Saturday. The problem set by Sunday. The chapter 1 quiz is also due Sunday. If you haven't done so, get your other activities, your extra credit activities like the orientation quiz and the DEI quiz in this week as well. That's basically it. All right. Any questions? Number 2? Okay. Elby?
Are we gonna do the problem sets and the exercise as our lab?
Yes.
Every week?
Yes, although not all the problems in the problem set. So we usually do about 3 or 4, but sometimes you have like 5 or 10 to do on your own. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.